Hello, you're watching Conscious TV and my name is Renate McNay. In the studio with me today is Mandi Solk. Hello, Mandi. Mandi is one of these fortunate beings who lives in oneness or non-duality, and she's going to tell us her story today. So Mandi, from reading your book, it all started, your transformation started after this terrible accident you had where you collided with a car and you were on a motorbike. And
Yes.
it threw you straight through the back window, through the front window.
I was much thinner then.
So,
Like a bullet.
yeah, so tell us about how
Yeah.
that happened and...
I'll tell you about that, Renate.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, I think that I've just got to... I don't know if I'm a fortunate being, although that's very nice.
Yes.
I think that... well, I'll explain as I go along, really,
Yes,
because
yes,
everything just feels completely sort of ordinary, really. But I suppose what happened was that... with this, so I was driving my motorbike, and yes, I hit this car. The lady came out of the curb, and she wasn't looking. Yeah. So the bike, hit the car at enormous speed, and just as it was about to hit the car, I remember thinking, "Oh, I'm going to die now." So I'll just let go of the handlebars because there's nothing else I can do. There was just this enormous feeling of letting go and not trying to hold on to life, but just a letting go. Yes. But then what seemed to happen, it felt like there was a sort of a lifting up somehow, as if I was being lifted up and up and up, and out of the situation. Yes. And
so
yes.
Was there no fear or panic when you saw that?
I think it was no, because there wasn't time for any panic. It was I know that's a strange thing to say, but I think sometimes people in accidents may have this same experience, that it looks terrible and it looks like people might be frightened. But when you see, when you're in the moment, which is what this is really about, you're completely in the moment and you see there's nothing you can do to stop this. For me anyway, something else just took over, and it was a great calmness and a letting go instantly. And so I was just feeling that I was going up and up and up and raising into the atmosphere, and there seemed to be a lot of, for some reason, green light, and it looked like I was in some kind of forest, but it wasn't a forest, and there seemed to be lots of doors, but there weren't really doors. But the main thing was as I was rising up, I started to, at first, see the world below. I saw people and buildings and everything. And then I just started to be able to see through these buildings, And you have to remember that even as I'm telling you this story now, this is a story, and it is just a story, because this is just happening now as I'm speaking to you. So it's just a story to me, because it doesn't feel like there's anybody here that's had this happen. It feels like I'm just remembering a film. However, I'll explain more of that as I go along, because as I was going up, I suddenly saw through these buildings. I saw that they were transparent and that people were transparent. But the feeling of being, that feeling that is the basis of all of us, this feeling of oneness, this deep base spaciousness, just sort of expanded and was bigger and bigger, and it was bigger than anything. It was the only thing that had meaning, not the people, the objects and the buildings. And as I was going up, sort of some worldly thoughts came to me. Like, I remember thinking, oh great, I won't have to worry about the overdraft anymore, wonderful. And then I remember thinking, oh, and I don't have to finish with that boyfriend, fantastic. And then and I won't have to worry about my weight anymore. and I was laughing and laughing, and I started to see that all these things, buildings, people, objects, meant nothing, because they weren't made of anything. It was all illusion. It was just a dream. And then I saw one of these apparent doors, and I was thinking, right, I can't wait to go through that door. when suddenly I was on the ground.
So did you expect anything behind the door?
Well, the only thing that I just knew was that behind these doors was enormous joy, light, happiness.
Right.
There was just a knowing, not a
Yes.
knowing of what it would be.
Yes.
Just I couldn't wait to get through, like it was the most exciting thing, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So then the next thing was I was on the ground and apparently woken up and a lot of people were around me. And the motorbike and the car was a complete write-off and everybody expected me to be dead.
Yes.
And the woman who had been driving the car, you see, she was stood over me crying. But suddenly I had enough presence of mind to sort of say, now, don't worry, love, I said, but you know it was your fault, don't you? I thought, well, I have to say that for the insurance. Anyway, back to this thing. But the amazing thing was there wasn't a scratch on me. There was no aftershock.
Incredible.
Nothing.
Yeah.
I wasn't even bruised. And they took me to hospital to check me out and everything was fine. So that was one glimpse of this seeing of being,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
And I completely lost any fear of death because and totally saw that there was no death, no such thing as death. And that was enormous comfort for me. So then life just sort of went on, I suppose, as normal until a few other things happened.
Yes.
That
So you went back into your story after
yes,
that.
that's a good way to put it. It seemed that I
Yeah.
went back into my story.
Yes.
But you see, this is really hard to describe, and the moment the words are out of your mouth, you contradict yourself by even saying I, you, me, anything.
Sure,
However,
yeah.
you know, we have to use some language. So
Yes.
all I can say is that at the time, I perceived that there was an I who had gone back into this story of somebody. But in fact, that doesn't really happen. And this is where people kind of can get this whole non-duality thing a bit confused in their minds because they think that some people will have a glimpse and then they think that that's it, that's the transformation.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it isn't really, because nothing really happened. It's like people tend to think that there is a state called enlightenment or nirvana, and this person's got it and this person hasn't got it. But that isn't true, and the reason it can't be true is because there is nobody over there. There's nobody over there that has it, so there can't be anybody over here that has it, because all there is being. And this being, I wrote it in the book because it's the best thing I could come up with, which is if you imagined a diamond from floor to ceiling, beautiful sparkling diamond, and every facet, millions of colours, and your eye might take you to a certain deep red or a blue, and it's so vibrant, this colour, that you want to go up and have a look at it. So you go right up to that facet, but as soon as you do, you see it's see-through, it's transparent, because it never really was red, it was just a trick of the light. Well, that's really what's happening. You know, if I'm asked the question, you know, what is non-duality? The answer to that really is, well, what is not non-duality? Because nothing is dual, there is only oneness, there is only everything, and everything. And to me, it's life and it's vibrant. So after that car accident, that was one of the times when I was left with this feeling of utter aliveness and vibrancy, and no longer any belief in the solidity of things. But then what happened after that was I think what happens after when stuff like this happens to people is that you look for other people who've maybe had a similar experience, or you suddenly read books. You're thirsty to know, hungry to know more about it. You become a seeker.
That brings us to the word seeker.
Yes.
You are going to tell me later.
Yes, we'll sort of...
What the seeker is.
Yes, and you must help me not to go off in too many tangents, because I do, you know.